I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Oh, how beautiful that is.
Thank
you, David. It's good to welcome the soul.
It is.
It is so good. And on this November 15th, we are welcoming the world into our soul as we come into our second installment of prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
And as we open ourselves in prosperity consciousness, we are going to focus on something we may not instantly think is part of prosperity consciousness: forgiveness.
Yes.
And our talk title today is A Daily Dose of Forgiveness.
And how important it is to keeping our pipes clear and continuing that practice regularly, as we will see in our sharing from the Master Teacher, Jesus.
And this teaching, we've heard it before, but retelling is important to reaffirm the wisdom embedded in it. Our Master Teacher from Matthew 18:21-22, this is the King James Version. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Jesus say unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. I love how our Master Teacher, Jesus, always spoke with story, with a meaning wrapped around something that we could sink our teeth into.
Mm-hmm.
And sinking my teeth into 70 times 7 is a lot, which means I can kind of throw out the window counting how many times I'm going to forgive. It's just forgive, and then forgive some more, and then forgive some more.
Exactly. I do. I appreciate how Jesus shared with us in ways that were not as direct as just do it all the time. It's 70 times 7, and by the time you start to try and keep track of that, you've lost track and you have to start all over again. So it's his way, I think, of just saying, just do it and do it and do it. And like I had a teacher, Eliza Bloom Robinson, when I was in seminary, and she said to us, forgiveness is like brushing your teeth. You don't just do it once, you do it again and again as a preventive measure and as a measure of our own personal hygiene that is necessary for good health. So as we move through our prosperity talks, we are looking at those things that may be blocking us to our highest good, those things that are keeping us from seeing clearly, from receiving the ultimate abundance that is ours. So Reverend Edwene Gaines drops this bomb on us. She is a master prosperity teacher. She is a unity minister and author, and she says that all financial debt is about unforgiveness. Here's the bomb. Financial debt is a socially acceptable way to punish yourself.
Ouch!
I know. When we came across this, preparing for this Sunday, we even, grappled with whether or not we want to drop this in the laps of our congregation, but it's so important to recognize how we create the situations of our own bondage, of our own illusion of lack and limitation and self-doubt. When we are carrying around grudges, when we are carrying around the berating committee in our minds, we are actively not practicing forgiveness. In other words, we are in unforgiveness. And when I've been in unforgiveness for myself or for others, believing that I'm in lack, believing I don't have enough, I reach beyond my means. and I use that credit card. I want instant gratification from an external source instead of turning that focus inward and looking at where I may be creating my own blocks to good, to prosperity, to the abundance that is available to each and every one of us. What do you think?
Well, I think you're spot on. And I love that Edwene Gaines doesn't mess around.
Right.
And she says right here that unforgiveness is integral to our financial debt.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty powerful. And financial debt, as we know, we are a nation. Heck, our nation is in financial debt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How much unforgiveness is inbred on a national scale?
Mm-hmm.
So our healing begins when we can adopt a daily dose of forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So I brush my teeth at least twice a day, so that means I should forgive at least twice a day, to go with your mentor's advice. And yes, your brain may be going to that place of, oh, I bet I can come up with some financial debt that doesn't have anything to do with unforgiveness. Well, this is putting things in a nutshell, and you can't put everything in the nutshell. Mm-hmm. So sure, there are things that relate to financial debt that aren't part of unforgiveness. Mm-hmm. And one thing for sure, when we put out our, oh, I'm poor, I'm sad, everything's so difficult, our friends, our family, our teachers, our co-workers will just go along with it and just hold that vision of just how poor we are, because it's acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
It's become a place of like, oh, there it is again.
Mm-hmm. This is as good as it gets.
And that's not what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
We're here for seeing a brighter light. And so we bring in the bright light of Byron Katie. Byron Katie, great author, speaker. She has transformed so many lives by her books
mm-hmm.
and by her message. She says here simply, forgiveness is just another word for freedom.
Mm-hmm. Another bomb.
It is, but it's also a recipe for how we as Americans can once again stand on our freedom by adopting forgiveness. And it's important when we're forgiving to not just forgive others, but forgive ourselves. And don't we want to drink that freedom?
Mm-hmm.
Don't we want to own the freedom? If we allow unforgiveness its course, we can really end up in a really painful place.
That's right. It's true. When I read this quote by Byron Katie, I'm reminded of how we get attached to our stories. We find our identity through the course of every action we have ever experienced in the course of our life. We are that sum total right now in expression. And I invite you, as I have been in reflection of all of the garbage that I'm attached to, all of those grudges, all of the times where I wish I had done something differently, where I wasn't raising my consciousness, I wasn't showing up as my highest vibration of self. And when I get looped into that story, into the shoulda, coulda, woulda, I have a big ball and chain that's stuck right here, and I cannot move forward to even reach for my highest good, let alone think that I am worthy of receiving it. So we're not talking just about our financial freedom. We're not just talking about the money that folds and jingles in our pocket. We're talking about experiencing prosperity at every level, every level that our life has to offer. And forgiveness is a simple task, not easy, but simple practice that helps keep the pipes clear so that we're able to see clearly, so that we're able to receive abundantly. And we have Eric Butterworth, Unity minister, author, and amazing speaker. He's a frequent guest in our Sunday services, where he says the goal should not be to make money or acquire things, but to achieve the consciousness through which the substance will flow forth when and as needed. Exactly that. If we are doing our spiritual work, and so often forgiveness gets kind of set on the back burner. We talk about prayer, we talk about love, we talk about being in connection with the divine, but we don't often think about all the stuff that starts to stack up and create blocks to seeing, to receiving our highest good. So one of the byproducts of that is that we're in the flow. We're in the flow when we're forgiving. We're in the flow when we are forgiven. And we receive financial reward. We have the sustainability of our finances. But it's so much more than that, guys. It is feeling love. It is seeing beauty. It is experiencing perfect divine health. That's being in the flow of divine substance, that which God wants for each one of us. Would you agree?
I so agree. Because what this quote from Reverend Eric Butterworth is saying is, rather than set the common goal towards the golden coins, the diamonds, the Lamborghini, the house, the stuff, if we drop into awakening our consciousness, clearing the path, clearing the past, clearing the future, then we can take this time to be one with God. That's the substance. The substance that's everywhere present within us. And that divine substance will flow through and always paves the way. All you need to do is look out in nature to see how God's handiwork sets the tone, sets the place for what is needed at any given point.
Absolutely.
And there's no lack in God. There's no doubt in God. And we must choose, because it is a conscious choice, to choose to forgive on a daily basis, ourselves and others, so that we can open ourselves to the prosperity of creativity and wonder and joy and aliveness and a vitality that allows us, like, I want to get out of bed today. I want to do what's mine to do. And that's freedom and prosperity. We have another powerful quote by a Unity minister and author, William L. Fisher. He says, "Make no mistake about it. The amount of prosperity we have at any given moment is the exact amount we are prepared to accept." Whoa! That's powerful. Because it's calling to the essence of we can only have what we are willing to own. We can only receive what we're willing to accept. Now, this is true because we can wax on all the highest goods possible for us, especially in the material things. I want $10 million. And I do. I want $10 million. But I would have $10 million if I could believe it and accept it, that it's mine. Now, what I know from this is what I focus on is how it feels to have $10 million. How does it feel to look in the mirror and be one with $10 million? How does it feel to walk in and make breakfast being one with $10 million? And I get $10 million worth of my experience because I identify myself as being one of the wealthiest people I know. And everything that I have, everything that I need is provided. And this is prosperity. Prosperity when we open ourselves to the divine flow that matches what we believe. Now, if I believe I'm less than, not good enough, not smart enough, nobody likes me, what can God give me that I'm willing to accept? Mm-hmm. I'm not even able to see it. What do you think?
I think you're reminding me of a story that comes out of the Hindu tradition. And this is a story about the divine couple, Shakti and Shiva. And they rested in their place in heaven and experienced vicariously the human condition. They would see and celebrate fully the joys of birthdays and milestones being met. And they would also experience the struggle and the strife. So one day, Shakti was observing the playground of the world, and she saw a particularly downtrodden man. He was frail and thin, his clothes were rags, and his sandals were held together with a bit of string. And she just felt the sorrow and the remorse that was emanating off of this individual. So she went to her husband and she said, "Husband, we have to give a blessing to this man. Let us give him gold." And Shiva said, "Won't do it." And outraged, she said, "Why? Why wouldn't we help him? He's clearly in need." And he said, "Because he is not ready to receive it." So Shakti pled further with Shiva and said, "Let us lay a blessing at his feet. Let us give him a bag of gold." So Shiva said, "All right, I'm down for the experiment." So meanwhile, the man is plotting his course, going along his path, worried about what, if anything, he'll find to eat for dinner that night, where, if anywhere, he'll find shelter, or will he sleep out in the elements again. Caught up in the thoughts in his mind that led him into this experience as this individual, he wasn't paying very close attention to his surroundings. But up ahead, he sees a boulder in the path, and he lifts his eyes up and thanks God for seeing the boulder, thinking, "Oh, I'm glad I didn't stub my toe, or I may have just left my sandals completely behind in shreds." So he approaches the boulder and very carefully sidesteps this boulder and carries on down his path, leaving the bag of gold behind. So this story reminds me so much of how important self-forgiveness is, how important the affirmation of "I am worthy, I am whole, I am a divine child of God, and I am deserving of the highest good right here and right now. And I will take responsibility. I will forgive. I will love. I will stay in dedication to my practice and train my thoughts on God no matter the circumstances." That's what I have to do, because how many times have I left a bag of gold on the path behind me? We all have the same opportunity. And Charles Fillmore, Unity co-founder, leaves us with this thought: poverty or prosperity, it all depends on you. All that the Father has is yours, but you alone are responsible for the relationship of the Father's good in your life. Now, if you feel a little bit like we've been just socking it to you today, it's because it's real. It's a hard thing to grasp, and it's a hard thing to absorb and put into practice. Said another way, we all have the opportunity to experience all of the abundant blessings of God. We are all given the same canvas, the same plot of dirt at our birth, and we come equipped with the same bag of seeds. If you just scatter the seeds on dry land, you're just leaving it to hope, crossing our fingers that one or two might take root. But if you cultivate those seeds, turning over the soil, planting them deeply, taking the time to nurture and water them, you see the analogy? Then you will bear the fruit of cultivating that relationship with God. And you're doing so in being in the flow of the practice of forgiveness and love and worthiness. What do you think?
I think you're spot on. And as we open ourselves to this oneness with the divine and identifying that that seed is within us, and any seed needs cultivation, and also identifying that within that seed is all that we are, is all God is. The universe is in the seed. We are in the seed, and we're complete.
Step back.